Gather up the measly crew, it's time to drink all of this brew and read chapters 492 to 502, volume 51. That's right, folks, it's the One Piece Virgin Eggheads Book Club podcast. I am your captain of the measly crew, Monkey D. Jones, and I have just one thing to say today. No matter what happens in this podcast, promise me you won't defy Eggy. Even if he shoots someone right in front of you, pretend you didn't see a thing.
Even if you see me at an anime convention walking on a beaten man, or having him walk for me, I'm sitting with all large quantity of my body mass index, breaking him down. He's looking like some kind of emaciated donkey from a Looney Tunes cartoon. His stomach's hanging on the ground and his shoulders are still at the normal height. All kinds of crazy stuff. That's right, because descended from royalty. I'd like to think so. Maybe that's just my dreams, but either way.
Eggy's dog walks in and pisses on your corpse. Just standard Eggy stuff. We've made it to the Celestial Eggy arc, folks. We did it. Only took 51 volumes to get to the true Israeli Kino of One Piece. But Eggy, hey, spoilers abound. What is your top of mind?
I think I'm probably about to mess his name up, but this volume is, it's a beautiful, beautiful volume. I really, really enjoyed this volume, but the way that I am, certain things give me a fixation, and this volume contains one of those things, and it's an extremely minuscule part overall, but it is what it is. I'm going to have to say, who is this Dark King? Silver's Rayleigh? Wait, Silver's Rayleigh? What's that? The first mate of Goldie Roger? What? Well, I mean, his execution is what started the grand pirate era in which we live, and his first mate is just out here chilling in a jail cell, going up on the slave auction. What is up with that?
And he's introduced, we see him for the first time in chapter 500. Just like how we saw Luffy's dad Dragon for the first time in chapter 100. Hey, these significant characters to get special chapter numbers, I guess. Wait, so his name is Silvers? And the Pirate King was gold? What, is there gonna be a fucking copper? Bronze? Who's next?
I can go for a bronze beard, yeah, shout out to all my dwarves out there.
What would be, is it Bronze Chalmers? That's his name?
I should say, speaking of dwarves, we also get something which should definitely not be a secondary top of mind, but I stole your secondary top of mind that other couple weeks ago. I looked up the calculation when I did the reading, so this is might be a little off, but I believe that Oda says that Brooks's height is like 8 feet 11 inches tall.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't think that I really had a good comparison panel with him and the rest of the crew.
So when they meet, I guess Luffy's like probably 5'6", 5'7", and he's looking way up to see Brooks' face in that panel when he asks him if he'll join the crew.
Well, what were they feeding these guys back 50 years ago is all I gotta say. I mean...
Yeah, that's not even from the devil fruit. He was just that tall as a human, I guess. But is he counting the afro as part of the height?
He might be. He mentions it's like 8'11" or something like that, and then he makes an additional measurement for the top hat, which I feel like he said 20 centimeters, and I think that would be like... Not even. It seems. Maybe it was the app. No. I guess it would be the top hat. I guess it's a small top hat. Well, in any case, I was like, damn, the motherfucker's tall. And I can say that now because YouTube, even if you swear in the first 7 seconds, you still stay monetized. Thankfully, something good is happening out here in the world.
I think Rusty Cage wrote up a good song of words we should say at the beginning of every YouTube video now. Shit, fuck, cunt, motherfucker. Trying to. And I'm gonna have to memorize the cuss word song one day to sing to Rusty, but Should we have Rusty on for volume 55? Because every 5 volumes we've been having a special guest. We did Heartsy, Earrich, Biggs, and we don't have anything planned for 55, Aggie. Is that my top of mind? Who's going to be the next special guest?
Well, I think I have to say, based on this volume and where, I'm getting Ennie's lobby cliffhanger kind of like, gosh, it was the hardest thing I've probably had to do in a month to not turn that next page. When I got to the final page of this volume, I was so engaged, so captivated.
Yeah. I love it when he punches that motherfucker. But we'll get to that.
This volume, because obviously we have the beginning of the volume with the mermaid napping and everything that leads us into the mangrove.
Sabaody archipelago, and other people pronounce it Sabaody, so anything works for me. But is this your way of answering who should join us for volume 55?
Yeah, I think if we're getting into this, where basically at the end of volume 51 we're having Luffy, he's just going balls to the wall again. We just, it seems to be a very grave thing that he's committed. As far as I basically not just off of what people like Hachi were saying, but I also base it off of in this moment. And I hate to be so, because this might be somebody else's top of mind around here, but
no, I really want you to analyze this whole thing. So please feel free to go all out.
Well, the reaction that we observe from all of these other pirate captains and otherwise very notable and infamous pirates who were just introduced to, and I believe just the previous chapter there, because this is right at the end of the volume, at the end of chapter 502 when this is going on. But this is so unthinkable for people that they're saying, oh, these kind of pirates that they're infamous for pillaging and murdering completely innocent, defenseless civilians, just monsters that are horrible, horrible people that are truly the truest caricatures of pirates. These just
and they took different routes through the Grand Line, but they all had adventures just as difficult as yours, Luffy. Like, that's what I love. I would love to see like each of these 11 characters, these 11 rookie pirates with bounties over 100 million. I'd love to see all of their One Piece adventure too, because I bet it's just as wacky and fun, even if they are a little ruthless and mean about it.
Whatever catches a break. I don't know if there's any like filler movies or anything that were made about any of these pirates, but
no, instead, when they do filler for the anime, wouldn't it be great if they showed us what Law and Kid did through this part of the Grand Line? You know what they do instead? They bring back Foxy and they play more fucking carnival games, Aggie. I think there's 5 filler arcs where Foxy comes back. And sometimes it's not even like in the One Piece world. I think I saw one where they were in the Old West. And they're just in the Old West and Foxy shows up. I'm like, what is happening?
There's a good critique to be made for, what do you say, shonen manga, animes, where they have this obsession with these sort of like Coliseum-styled events, whether this is like Davy Bag games, Foxy games, tournaments for fighting and all this stuff like that. Like all of these, it's very ingrained in the culture, so it's kind of like,
I probably asked you this a long time ago, but do you think we'll get a tournament arc a la half of Dragon Ball in One Piece?
Well, I would be likely to think so, just based on the fact that we had something like the Davy Bag games in existence, and maybe that's the only one that I can really think of at the moment that kind of had fit that bill so far. But there's just so much, and this volume is a good example of just really very nourishing to me with how much new perspective, I think, is what I would say we're being given by. We're kind of getting another big eye-opening moment here to be in this locale in the archipelago. So I think kind of the same kind of feeling I had like reaching Skypiea, maybe a little bit different because I kind of placed maybe a little too much weight. Maybe that's just me on the whole fact that they flew up into the sky to get there, but just a whole new kind of place with a whole new kind of biology, and it's something that still has a very, entrenched history compared to like Thriller Bark. Yeah, okay, this is Moria's ship, and this is what's going on here. There's a lot going on here, but the archipelago has this really deep entrenched history, and it's right in proximity to the Navy, and it's got the Celestial Dragons and all this different stuff going on that kind of gives it a little bit more to chew on for me, which I really enjoy. Really feels good for me to read that. It's like a whole breath of fresh air to learn some of these new things.
Okay, your train of thought got sidetracked. I want to get right back on it. You're analyzing Luffy punching the Celestial Dragon. You're bringing up even these ruthless pirates saw it. Okay, let's go back to that.
So yeah, that was what. I mean, everything that transpired at Enies Lobby was just such an epic to begin with, and I thought maybe in the chapter I think it was in the end of 501. The pamphlets, the breaking news telegrams flying from the sky, and they're talking about all this. They're talking about Navy and low Navy presence because of this. They're all shocked and all this stuff. I thought that was going to be like oh hey, by the way, Enies Lobby happened and it was the Straw Hats, and everyone's going to be like, oh wow, Straw Hats, oh they're crazy, they're on a whole other level. But that's not even it. It's the saying that our good friend Mr. Ace, we're wondering what happened to him. We heard he was in Impel Down. Well, they are looking to execute him in order to incite a military conflict. But I guess maybe I should have said first, the act of attacking the Celestial Dragon, the consequences are put forward that this essentially like triggers a miniature buster strike or a miniature buster call of like a Navy-led attack on you for attacking the Celestial Dragon. So,
well, here's the thing. I want to compare it to the buster call really quick because after you have Robin's whole backstory and the trauma from the buster call, and then the characters face one and escape unscathed, they did have a magical spirit ship come save them, and otherwise they would have been killed, but still they survived this. To have another, like an even higher, more scary ranked strike in the form of, it's not 10 vice admirals we're sending, it's just one normal admiral. And you think back to, and they say, oh, is it Aokiji? Like, this one dude with the ice power defeated the whole crew easily, and they escaped because he took pity on them, and he's friends with Garp, and I guess owed a favor to him. So the idea that somebody on his level will now be coming for Luffy because of this, is that more terrifying than an actual buster call?
I guess to string my thoughts together a little bit better here, the reason why I think I just kind of switched over to this Ace's situation and people mentioning as they're receiving this paper to inform them of it, they say, oh, that's why there's been a low Navy presence. I have to wonder perhaps if there's an enhanced Navy presence to do with Ace's situation, like they're all kind of in the same way that, there was going to need to be special, even just with Nico Robin, they kind of had to have, everything to do with Enies Lobby was supposed to be very fortified. If they have an enhanced Navy presence to kind of tend to Ace's situation, is that going to maybe lessen what could be a response to Luffy attacking the Celestial Dragon as well? So, because he might need a little something, he might need a little bit of a scale tip if this is like to get this response from some of the most cruel up-and-comers that they're like, oh, fuck. Like, oh, wow, there's no way he's going to do that. He'd be crazy. Oh, JK, here you go.
Yeah, I was a little bit, I don't know if it's underwhelmed or confused, but the concept of at Enies Lobby, this crew shot the world government flag and declared war on the world. Like, they're already notorious, massively wanted criminals. So is this really that much more bad that he's punching an Israeli man in the face? Like, they're already wanted. They're already declared war on this government, but these are the untouchables. And if we're going to get into my top of mind, it's just how delightfully cruel and comedically evil the Celestial Dragons are. Literally wearing bubble helmets on their heads so that they don't breathe the same air as commoners as they're down from their paradise on Marie Joie. They took this Desert landscape, horrible place nobody would want to live, and they said, this is our land now, we're gonna have our castle and live here, and sometimes we'll come down to breathe the same air as the commoners. Parallels from the real world, it could be anything, folks. It could be anything. Who's untouchable? Who can you not criticize in this world? Who has a lot of power despite being such a small minority? It's hard to tell who could this be about.
Should I take a select quote to those ends? I believe I posted one in the group chat as I was doing my reading the other day that felt very, very relevant to the time, and I think I'm scrolling. I think I'm close here, a little bit. So this is, I believe, just a man who works as a slave auctioneer employee, not the.
Not Disco?
What's the name of the guy? Not the man who did the collar or whatever. Oh yeah, Mr. Disco, that's right. Is this him? Yeah, I guess it is. I guess
Disco gets like foamed at the mouth from Rayleigh, but then he does the auction anyway, so I guess there was a little bit of time.
Just to quote here specifically, something I found to be he said, basically, some of the Straw Hats, they arrive at the Cove 1 for the where the slaving auction is to be taking place, and they basically confront this man about the situation, and he says, quote, "It's not very nice to say, but yeah, even when the government or the military talks to us, they don't seem to hear the words, quote, human trafficking, end quote, and they don't know that this trade exists either."
Wink, wink. Yeah.
So, a little bit timely in our news cycle. There's been some talks of some human traffickers that are not having their files, released to the public after much scrutiny, things like that. So it definitely felt very, very topical to be reaching this point at this particular time.
You think a man with Stein in the name might be human trafficking some underage mermaids in real life, Aggie? Throwing them in the piranha aquarium?
I could go on a whole diatribe about the descendants of Atlantis.
Oh, spoiler alert for Raftel.
Oh, well.
Raftel is Atlantis, we all know now.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I remember that we did talk about that once upon a time.
It's either Atlantis or the moon, one or the other, folks. It's gotta be. Even though I guess Edaru would have found the One Piece up there, I guess, while he was there.
For the people who followed me back in the day, though, because I used to get stuck on this back in the day, but based on Twitter posts that I read between the years 2017 and 2019, there is a group of people in Northern Africa called the Berber people, and they are the descendants of Atlantis. So I don't know if they're particularly, susceptible to any American investment moguls and being targeted by them, but it's kind of in the Middle Eastern area, so it's quite possible.
So the most advanced civilization in the world with great swimmers evolved into Africans?
North African, so. But yes.
So basically French. Basically Egyptian, and you know how they walk from that one song. More about the Celestial Dragons. Eggy, here's some deep lore for you. 800 years ago, 20 kings banded together to create the world government. Their descendants are the Celestial Dragons. 800 years of just the same families ruling, hating the commoners. Do you suspect some, perhaps, incest in this community that might, maybe they're even their own race at this point? They started off kind of as one thing, but now they've incested their way through the generations to be, I'd consider, their own race. They all kind of look hideously ugly, in my opinion. Might explain that. Again, this is just One Piece we're talking about, no parallels.
I guess now that you mention it, dragons, would we consider a dragon to be a reptile? I mean, bearded dragons are a reptile, right? And celestial, I mean, that's,
they're scaly, literally scaly reptile people, yeah.
So reptiles from outer space. I think I have heard about it. I think this guy named David was telling me about that one time, and he seemed like he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, Florian really appreciated all those fun facts, I think, or am I thinking of a different David?
I think some people have said he might be a little bit of an icky man, perhaps.
Well, this is too many riddles for me. We're going to have to move on. More about these guys. We see that you have fish man, human man. What? It's just transport. You can ride on their back like a miniature horse. And St. Charlos, and I've told this story a million times. I just told you this on a different podcast, but it bears repeating. One time on Trash Rats, I asked Reactor, who is your favorite One Piece character? And then after, I assume, a quick Google search, he answered St. Charlos. So I assume he searched most hated One Piece character, and that's who popped up, which I think is who pops up if you still Google that to this day. But just in case of spoilers, Eggy, maybe don't search that, because there's plenty of more hateable characters in the future. But, it's canon that Reactor loves St. Charlos, and frankly, so do I. And not just because of the catharsis of Luffy punching him in the face in this final fucking one-panel, two-page spread here, but he blames his human slave for going 10 times slower than a fish man. Like it's the human's fault. Just as despicable as Oda can imagine is what he's putting into these characters. And there's really no nuance at all of these world nobles having any shred of humanity or decency on any level.
Yeah, they didn't have PR teams to help them do the work back in these parallel and possibly relatable times. I really enjoyed the whole scene where we have Charlos kind of has my attention as far as the royals go, but we do have like his sister and his father, I believe, if I understand that correctly. They're coming through first. He's kind of coming up behind them as they're going through this public space on I think is that where they buy the amusement park. I forget 100% exactly where they were located at the time, but they're coming through, and as Charlos is coming through, bringing up the rear, there's somebody, there's a doctor and a nurse, basically with a stretcher. There's somebody that was mortally wounded, essentially, and they're running through like, oh, we gotta quickly get him to, he needs help right now. We can't slow down at all. So they end up running in front of him, and he's like, what do you think is worth more, acknowledging me or this commoner's life? And they're like, well, and
he flips the stretcher over to throw the the victim onto the ground. And he looks at the nurse and says, oh, I like this one. Oh, you could be my 13th wife. And his fiance runs up, no, you can't cuck me, Charlos, no. And I'm sick of wives 1 through 5. You can send them back to the trash world. Like, oh my God. I love Charlos. And Reactor's right. He's a great character. He's very funny. And then doesn't he shoot the fiance?
Zoro comes up. He's walking. He's like, he ain't going for all that. But
it's the most disrespectful thing Zoro could possibly say to somebody is, "What, are you lost? Do you need directions?" Like, and the fact that he walks right up to him and says that. And there's so much we have to get into here, but I guess Alaska, what do you think of Jewelry Bonnie in the form of a small child, not the way we have her presented originally, tackles and saves Zoro's life when he's about to be killed by Charlos? Or at least he's about to cut down Charlos and then lead to what Luffy ends up doing anyway, I guess. Charlos probably was not going to win that.
It seemed understandable enough because she does say, like, it's we pirates all have, our place here, and it's not to cause any problems with these celestial dragons because we're all going to suffer if, their wrath comes down on us. It's sort of like there's enough of a self-preservation reason sort of attached to it that I could, didn't necessarily make me think that she had any necessary affinity for Zoro, just based off of where he was at. But then I think it's Urouge or something like that. After he's like,
Urouge, I think.
That guy's just the first mate. Oh, I can't believe that he would have any captain. He doesn't care about anything. So he's getting some looks, maybe in at least not entirely negative way. But if she hadn't just played her part to keep the peace, it might have been maybe a little different, because that would really suck. And who knows, maybe it's going to happen. But if the Straw Hats had to go with a naval admiral entourage against them, and also one of these equally strengthened or possibly even stronger pirate crews, that'd probably suck a lot.
Although, if Zoro would have cut down Charlos, who doesn't win that auction?
Well, I think that there's always enough of a from who's the first one? I guess it is that instance where the slave gets blown up and the dog pisses on him and everything.
They got ratchet deadlocked death collars that explode if you disobey as a slave or try to run away. So
very saw-pilled, it felt like, like, I want to buy a slave.
Is that enough for my top of mind? Because we got to get into a new member of the crew, Aggie. Newest member. If you want to join the YouTube channel, Mumkey D. Jones, you can be a member, get all the episodes 2 weeks early, join the Discord, and get a role on the crew. This week it is Still Splinter.
When I'm thinking Splinter, I'm thinking woodworking, but also, feel like maybe we were good on carpentry right now, but then when you think of stills, distill, liqueur, okay? Splinter, what is that? That's oak. That's what you age your liquor in wooden barrels. All right, and, well, at the end of the day, I think if we're anything like the Straw Hats, we could put down the liquor of 10 times as many men. So I have determined that Mr. Still Splinter is a liquor distilling expert. We need, he's going to know how to distill it.
Can we call him a bartender?
You know what? We probably need somebody like that.
Yeah,
otherwise
it's probably easier to say. He's the bartender of the crew. I like that idea. We need one. I'm surprised we didn't have one as like the third member, to be honest. And one other thing, Aggie, before we go through the rest of the chapter, and I guess before chronologically, we got a lot of CP9 shenanigans in the cover story I'm very excited for. But you may recall, episode 50, it was a big one. And Aggie got me special, Kazuzu toy of Brooke here. Here, it's in the flesh. You can see it. What are these called? Labubu? Kazuzu?
Yep, it's Labubu, and it's still going just as strong in virality. I thought to myself, if I'm going to jump the shark to, buy one of these One Piece ones for, a little bit of somewhat of a birthday belated gift, but also just good for the show too and good to add to your collection. But no, as far as I can tell, the Labubus are only getting stronger. They have people being hired now. They're like in full mascot suits of Labubu characters. My girlfriend actually is gifting me one of her Labubus. I think the fancy ones that women started popularizing as accessories are like retail at like $70, $80, $90 each or something like that, even before the reselling.
So should we both sign this one and sell it to a member of the crew for $500 that goes towards our Boston trip? Now, the fact that it's a birthday gift and it was Brooke of all characters, there's no way I could. It's priceless to me. There's no way I could sell that Aggie.
And the thing of it is, too, what I can say is that it's like a 1 in 12 chance for which character you pull, because it could be any of like 12 characters. And it's completely out of stock. I don't know if even any more are being made right now. That was one that was resold. I think I mentioned that maybe on episode 50, but so we
got very lucky.
Hard to come by.
But my point is, enough about Kazuzu. We need to move on. My point is, this episode I've brought in a gift for you, Aggie, to pay it back. No birthday involved. Listen, folks, Aggie's been getting into cinema lately. We watch a lot of films together. And we watched one recently that I think is probably one of his favorites of all time. I think it's going to stick with him for a long time. And I got you a poster for that film because you need some artwork for your house. I know we talked about that on the mailbag. You ready for this, Aggie?
My eyes are locked in. Oh my no! Smurf!
The horrible new Smurfs movie. They had posters for free and I took one for Aggie.
Well, actually, you know what? A quick point I could make, because I think I said it in one of the group chats or something. Spoiler alert, mute this for the next...
For the Smurfs movie?
Yeah,
Who gives a shit?
I'm just saying, there might be one viewer, so I'm giving him warning, trigger warning.
I spoiled the Dark Forest book on a different podcast. That's much more... Never mind, go ahead.
Well, we just had a couple volumes ago. We ended on the cliffhangers of Shadows, Asgard, Moria soaking up all of the shadows of all the people on Thriller Bark for his grand finale attack. Well, basically, in the end of the Smurfs movie, this Azrael, or was it Razafel, or I think that's what it is. He's movie exclusive. I don't think he exists in any other Smurfs media, but he's like the antagonist of the Smurfs film.
He's Gargamel's brother, I think.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. And Gargamel obviously is very well known and established throughout Smurf history. This is like his older brother that kind of like pushed him to the side and was doing his own thing off on the side. But he like soaks up all this energy like in kind of a similar way to Shadow's Asgard, I felt like. And then he also, like, when he's being defeated, he's like spewing out the magic energy like in the same way that the shadows get spewed out of Moria. So I definitely felt, there's no question in my mind, that the Smurfs 2025 was inspired by Thriller Bark 100%. So probably the best thing I could say.
Yeah, Aggie, not to cause conflict with you, but I do have an issue with some of what you were just saying. First of all, Papa Smurf didn't create Smurfette, Gargamel did. She was sent in as Gargamel's evil spy with the intention of destroying the Smurf village, but the overwhelming goodness of the Smurf way of life transformed her. And as for the whole gangbang scenario, it just couldn't happen. Smurfs are asexual. They don't even reproduce. They don't even have reproductive organs under those little white pants. That's what's so illogical, about being a Smurf. What's the point of living if you don't have a dick?
I think I heard one of my lawyers that was presumed innocent or presumed guilty. I forget.
Nobody watched that show. Nobody's gonna get that. We're the only ones who watched that show, and it was fun. It's a 6 out of 10. It was fun.
Yeah. If my lawyer's saying that, he's on the case. Him and his black wife are representing me as soon as possible. End of story.
Hey, speaking of numbers, CP9 have some misadventures, and it's actually very sweet and sentimental and touching what they're doing here, which, after giving the Straw Hats their most terrifying and difficult battles ever, I love that Oda just flips the switch and says, hey, they're going to do like street performances using their goofy powers to raise money for their sick friend. How many tears were shed during these cover stories, Aggie?
Well, I thought it was pretty funny because I don't think I ever hated anybody from CP9. Like, they didn't give me Two-Face, what's his name? I'm losing my train of thought off the top of my head. But the horrible monster man who was a total prick and was very hateable. What's that?
Duval? Are you talking about Spandam?
Oh yeah, Spandam, yeah.
Yeah.
Spandam, yeah. So, total hateable prick. I really hated him a lot. But otherwise, I feel like the other CP9 members, they were just doing their job. They were just following orders.
That's right.
Never really necessarily hated them.
Just do it. They're just following orders. God damn it. Oda's fucking right. No, I'm just kidding.
No! All I'm going to say is, really, objectively speaking, you are having these people that are going against the world government. I mean, and you are the ultimate government force. So, I mean, what are you going to defect? You're probably just going to get executed by one of your superiors. And
well, here's the thing. It's not the plan here. So CP9 is now being hunted down for their failure, and they have to escape by running along the C-train tracks. Do you buy this, that the world government, I guess Spandam, would report them as failures and order their arrest, but do you really... I mean, I guess you don't have to buy it if it's up to Spandam, but... like, these guys are brutal assassins and very powerful. Are we really just gonna try to arrest them? Don't we still want to utilize them for future endeavors? Like, it's not their fault that Spandam destroyed Annie's lobby.
I definitely feel like Spandam would be just vindictive like that, to be honest. I mean,
just
who's
pass
going
the
to go
blame.
to next?
Yeah.
It's going to be, he'd probably end up just in the same way that, like, Kumadori was on office duty in Annie's, or wasn't one of the galley law shipwrights, so maybe he's gonna, like, Spandam could be, like, relegated to sort of like a B team or CDE, whatever, a lower position, but, like, still somewhere like a government crony. I feel like that probably happens every now and then, that there's a horrible total failure in government espionage, and instead of people being punished how they should be, really truly morally speaking, they just get relegated to some new job with a new job position and just sweep everything under the rug.
Go become the CEO of a company or something, or go become a senator.
Yeah, they change every other year.
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, yeah, I felt like, this series of cover stories definitely was a heart tenderizer as far as the CP9 and their plight, because, when they're just following orders from the beginning, could we ever necessarily fault them? Maybe yes, maybe no, depending on how you look at it. But this really shows just how caring they are and how we're really getting humanized here. We get to see them in this new light. It's kind of refreshing a little bit too. It's something that is outside of their mission, whether it was, being on the galley law as a facade in order to get the guard lowered for them to find the plans that they were seeking, or when they were, fighting at Enies lobby and everything like that.
I think it brings to mind the question, what the fuck did Luffy do to Lucci? That all of the Straw Hats won their fight, but then all these CP9 people, other than Lucci, they've recovered well enough. They can walk through the entire ocean on these train tracks. Why is Lucci the one, soul alone, who needs medical attention to heal? Like, Luffy just fucking punched him a bunch. What's going on?
Well, I mean, Luffy, we know at this point, seeing as this cover story takes place after Bartholomew Kuma transferring a sliver of Luffy's pain to Zoro and seeing Zoro's reaction that it damn near killed him just to get a minuscule taste, that helped really put into perspective just the strength that Luffy possesses. Even if now maybe he's back in a pond of similar sized fish here in the archipelago, when he was in his Gear 2 and Gear 3 modes, having that giant fist coming down on Lucci, it probably damn near killed him,
If I recall the Dothraki or whatever the hell, the power levels, wasn't Lucci like 4,000, and then the next highest from Kaku was like 2,200? Mm-hmm. And if everybody was pushed to their limit in the fight, that would imply Luffy basically is twice as strong as Zoro, right? Is that what Otis tried to say? And that Sanji's only 20 points below Zoro? That might piss some people off, but hey, Otis said it, not me. Any predictions of where the CP9 story is going, and if they'll ever tie back into the actual main plot of the manga?
Well, when we get them all back up and running, they're disavowed by Spandam. Best case scenario, they're unemployed. Maybe they might even have some discipline put towards them for failing the world government. Maybe they'd be put up to some tribunal or something of, being failures and allowing something so terrible to happen to the world government. I don't know if there's ever an instance like that. If that's typical in military stuff, I guess I'm not so educated on all that to know if like some really callous or really careless, maybe rather, negligence that ended up with like war being declared on the entire world government when you were like tasked to just transport one prisoner. Yeah, maybe that could.
We saw the Baroque works. They all went back to working at the cafe. Right. Would Iceberg and Paulie invite them back to work at Galley Law now that they're enemies of the government as well? That bridge might have been burned.
Yeah. And
Zoro did tell him he was fired. They're probably not welcome back.
Right. And yeah, we know that Iceberg, he's got his new secretary, so Khalifa wouldn't have a place. And we have Big Head and Kumadori. I forget what. There's Kumadori, Big Head. It's, we're a couple volumes removed. My brain is already not the most functional as it is, folks.
So stay tuned next week, members of the channel, for our live stream of the character tier list of the Water 7 Enies Lobby saga, because it's coming up next month or next week or whatever.
I will get refreshed for that one, surely.
Yeah, we better. And then we already have to do Thriller Bark too. Like, we finished that saga. We got so many special goodies for the members coming up. Any final thoughts on these cover stories before we move on?
Like I said, I appreciate getting this other side of the CP9 members, and I guess that's really what cover stories have, generally been a great tool for, is to look at our previous opponents, our previous enemies, who we just had to be all against in a different light, a little more humanity to them, and seeing what they go through. And I'm hoping that we see CP9. I think they have enough skill sets generally that they could make something of themselves with their shipwright experience, their secretary experience, so on and so forth. I think there's definitely potential here. So I'm rooting for you, CP9. I am.
Would it be considered cuck-worthy if they kowtow back to the government and start doing their bidding again after they've been betrayed?
I would think so, yes. Now, if you get to the point where you're willing to be a sleeper agent for 5 years just to complete one government task, there could be enough of what I would consider to be like a Stockholm syndrome, unfortunately.
Lucci just loves to kill. Whoever gives him permission to kill, he'll be on their side probably. Aggie, walk me through your experience with Duval and the ultimate reveal, and your thought process, the whole deal.
Well, I will just say this first because, it takes a little bit of time here, a couple chapters in before we get there, but leading off from the end of volume 50 and then at the beginning of volume 51 here, and I really enjoyed how Oda really played into this sort of like misdirection, suspension kind of, suspense sort of angle for the character, just sort of like toying at his identity over and over again, and not taking his sweet time to reveal it, and a lot of like, whoa, yeah. But I also enjoyed how even prior to that, we do get homeboy Hachi back up in the mix, and sort of the catalyst for everything that then comes to transpire with the epic combat against the flying fish riders. But I guess if I just get right to the meat and potatoes here.
Yeah, which we can, because in all honesty, I don't love that this Duval, like 5 or 6 chapter subplot is part of the Sabaody archipelago arc. I feel like it brings the overall quality of an amazing arc down, because I don't really vibe with it that much. I feel like it's a little bit of a waste of time just for a very good build up to like a funny joke. But in all honesty, if it was its own arc, because we've had 5 or 6 chapter arcs in the past, it's probably C tier, And the fact that I love Sabaody and it opens with 6 chapters of C tier, not my favorite. So if we don't go through every little detail of it, I don't think it's that important. But I do want to talk about the Hachi and Nami stuff, and just your reaction to the reveal of his true face.
Well, I really, speaking of humanizing previous opponents and enemies, considering there's the idea that, because they're cool with Papagu and they're cool with, I guess let's say Cammy, as I'll pronounce the mermaid. Since they have this goodwill with Hachi, it's sort of basically, other than Zoro, he's kind of a little bit, I think, on edge about it at first, since he was the one that actually fought Hachi at Arlong Park, as I recall. They're kind of, willing to do whatever's good for Kami, whatever's good for Papagu. Like, hey, they're ready to stand by them, and defend them against flying fish riders, and they're willing to stick their neck out basically for a former enemy. So it really just shows a lot of maturity, I think, for everybody. Well, it's really not until
Nami says it's okay that the rest of the crew is on board, because at the end of last volume, Sanji and Zoro said, "Oh, if that's the Hachi I think it is, we're not saving his ass." And then even Luffy here says, "I'm not saving that guy. Fuck it, let's go." But Nami's the one who has to be mature and realize Hachi wasn't so bad. He was just following orders. We've learned from Oda, if you're just following orders and doing your job, who cares what those orders were? If you're, you might be a decent guy. Go check out this great movie called Zone of Interest. It's all about that kind of thing. But Hachi, he's a big lovable retard, okay? Okay, he's lovable. Go save his ass. And it's very much when Zoro had to save Smoker in Alabasta. He's following the captain's orders, and that's pretty much his attitude as he slices open the cage to save somebody who he fought while he was severely injured from Mihawk.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, like as you said, Nami kind of making the call here to give the green light. I think it was right for her to, be that person because she was the one that had to serve under the Arlong pirates and, go through all that. So even if it was, beneficial to the crew perhaps for their needs to just go along with what the mermaid needed all along to kind of really give it the full A-OK on that was, that was. Well,
if it was Arlong in there, they would have ditched. But it's like only because specifically Hachi was, he was one of the good ones on the crew. He was always nice. We've seen that from the very beginning. Hachi's always nice to strangers and offering them rides, and then he got his own cover story where he's just constantly helping people. So Oda's put in more than enough work to make us like Hachi, even though he enslaved child Nami and ruined her life. He has nuance to his characters other than the Celestial Dragons.
That's right. The cover story, the octopus fritter business, and the fact that, he had being a chef to cook everybody a lot of delicious food on the table after all the dust settled, a lot of strong points to help him curry favor as well. But
yeah, that helped Luffy a lot. Like his eyes turned into the takoyaki balls or whatever food was being promised.
I think, so as far as the identity of Duval, I was going to say, it has to be Don Krieg, right? Because he's singling out Sanji. He's large and armored, and he has like these poison-tipped spears that seem very Krieg-like. Yes. I think he literally had some shit like that. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's been a while. It's much better result for Krieg's character development than what the live-action One Piece brought to the table, that horrible, pathetic garbage. So I was like, all right, boom, here we go. I would not have in a million years have guessed that this is the man here. It is Duval. He just looks exactly like the completely incorrect wanted poster that was put out for Sanji when everybody got their bounties updated and had their pictures put out. A terrible, terrible coincidence. And I never would have guessed that. Because
he even teases us several chapters in a row. Like 493, it ends with Luffy crashing into Duval's hut and he sees his face. And Luffy says, uh-oh, it's you. And Duval says, you know me, don't you? And then there's like a cliffhanger for the week, probably 2 weeks, knowing fucking Oda breaks. And then it just turns out it's not a guy they've ever met before. He just looks like an illustration of Sanji. Which I guess I do like the plot of Sanji kicks his face so hard that it shapes it into a more beautiful face. That's kind of fun. But 5 or 6 fucking chapters of build-up just for this, Aggie. Just for the plot utility of we can use the flying fish riders to find the auction house later on in the volume. Could this have been cut down to 2 or 3 chapters, or did it really need to be this much? Is it because we needed Brook to have a quick adventure with the crew since he's brand new and we got to see him utilize his sleep melody soul powers to put the fish to sleep and all that? Was that the point? Give them a mini adventure before the Sabaody goes fucking crazy.
Yes, but then the fact that it relies on the Gaon cannon, Gaon cannon, the Gaon, I don't know. Anyway, the fact that that's basically, they literally just come out with this like total super attack that like takes all the cola power out of the Thousand Sunny just to obliterate everything. Just say, okay, yeah, the fight's over and everything. So now let's go ahead and just move on to the next part where we're all talking our talk and have some good food and all that stuff. Although I did also enjoy Luffy intimidating the like giant bison that Duval was riding. Kind of, I don't know. I thought it was a little weird. Maybe.
Yeah, what's going on there?
I'm wrong, but I was like, oh, there's something else that gets brought up later in the volume too, but something that we've been introduced to now a couple of times. This hockey stuff. Hockey? I don't know. Like, is Luffy, is his hockey so overwhelming in the face of this buffalo or this bison? Maybe he's can sense it somehow and it's freaking him out. He's like, oh shit, I don't want no part of this. I'm just going to flop over and submit. He's foaming at the mouth.
What are the examples we've seen? Shanks walks onto Whitebeard's ship and has people fainting, foaming at the mouth. Rayleigh makes Disco do it. And this big scary bison, did Luffy do the same thing to him, even subconsciously or, mistakenly? He doesn't even know he's using hockey.
Yeah, I before knowing that it came up later in the volume as well, it still definitely caught my attention. Like, I guess it would have sucked to have had to, punch an animal in the face. Like, nobody wants to be beating up all the lovable, cool animals that we get to spend our time with. But
which I did not like that originally Luffy was like running away when the bison was coming. That's not the Luffy I know. I think he would have just punched it in the face.
I mean, he's got.
Does Luffy run from fights?
Maybe you could say it was a character or a tactical
retreat,
tactical repositioning because they're out here. He can't be sort of. There's another part where he grab Kami and like jumps onto some solid land, like over the water. It's just kind of dangerous for him to be having to, do combat like this out here where he's got such a vulnerability that he could fall into the water and just sink right down. So
yeah, he does go in the water a few times, and then I think Brook and Chopper dive in after him, and then they need to be rescued as well. Right. Not smart. But yeah, Duval looks like Sanji, and his tragic backstory, actually not that tragic, because it turns out he's not just some innocent man who then is being hounded by bounty hunters and the government because they think he's Sanji. He was a criminal to begin with. That's how he got the funds and the riches to afford the Duval lifestyle, where he has all these paid, hired guns, as CIA might say in The Dark Knight Rises. So yeah, I don't feel bad for him. Like, he was a bad guy who terrorized people to begin with. So fuck him.
Yeah, if anything, the Navy probably should have.
Yeah, he should have been wanted to begin with. Stupid. And yeah, he blames Sanji for it. Oh, karma's finally catching up with me. All my bad actions. I guess I'm bad at Sanji. Bullshit. I'm glad Sanji said I don't care, and he beat the shit out of him. Deserved it.
I did enjoy the fact that he just neglected to ever even attempt to modify his appearance, like ever get a single haircut or
yeah, stupid.
Sanji says he can grow in a beard or something, just wants to look exactly like the wanted poster at all times and do nothing to stop that.
So if Duval was its own art, where would you rank it?
I feel like it would be possibly the lowest of everything. Because do I have the
worse than
what's my current
Cape Town, Reverse Mountain arc? I think your lowest might be the end of East Blue, Logetown.
Yeah, and I think I would put Logetown over this because I like Logetown, I think, retrospectively. I don't know. I feel like the reason why I put it so low is because it was just such a minuscule chapter, or a minuscule arc. I think looking back on it now, I have kind of carried it with me, Logetown, because that was even before Mocktown, like Logetown and Mocktown both. And I would put the beginning of the Sabaody archipelago, I think, in the same vein as those, in where it's something that is a new area that we're coming into, and it has new interesting people, and I think it's not a coincidence that we're getting to this part around chapter 500 when we had Loketown around chapter 100. Mocktown, I don't remember off the top of my head, but still all the same.
It's probably around 300. Probably, I don't know.
It just has that like new zone energy.
It's probably around 250 actually, I think. Mockdown. But yeah, let's get into it then, because now that we're done with Duval, I think we covered all the good stuff there. And if I was going to rank that as its own arc, actually, the beating heart of emotionality of Nami forgiving her former enslaver friend, that's kind of sweet, but otherwise... And it's very funny with Duval looking like that and being a big retard, but it was too long for me. And in the anime, it's way too fucking long. I especially hated that part in the anime. But I want to hear all about Sabaody, because we're almost an hour in. We haven't even talked about the 11 Supernova pirates, Eggy. And really, there's not much to say about them, because we kind of just get a very brief introduction and their bounties. And I don't know if it's that fun for us to just name a bunch of fucking numbers, and because we haven't seen them really do anything yet. But all of Sabaody, Eggy, what is top of mind in these last 5 or 6 chapters?
Well, I gotta say, I think that really my original top of mind was Silver's Rayleigh. It kind of has a through line really for also my other tops of mind about the archipelago, because we get introduced to these bubbles early on, which are interesting. I'm glad that they kind of get explained a little bit, because I'm thinking that this is like a mana spring or something that's coming up out of the ground, but that is not the case. It's like the breathing roots that form these bubbles. So, but the bubbles, without me looking back up into it, the bubbles are what provide the coating for the ship that allows it to travel to Fishman Island. That's correct? Am I right on that?
Yeah, there's special resin, that can coat the ship.
Yeah, so it all has this through line, because the bubble resin, it's there. It's going to allow the Thousand Sunny to be able to travel to Fishman Island. And there is a man who is alluded to, who, well, spoiler alert, it ends up being Silver's Rayleigh by my best approximation. He's the man who can coat the ship, but he's out. They think maybe he might be out. He's fond of the gambling areas. Hashtag relatable moment.
Yeah, he hasn't been home in 6 months because he's out gambling or like chasing girls, is what Shaki says. Have you ever been on a 6-month gambling binge where you just did not go home because you had to sell yourself into slavery auctions to pay off your gambling debts?
Well, I haven't gotten there. I made a lot of money gambling this year, but when it's getting to be the death throes at the casino, I do consider, I think about it sometimes, like, what if I just buy in for like $20,000 and just go crazy and just throw caution to the wind?
Game over in life.
So by the end of this year, I might be selling myself into slavery possibly, but I really try to not do that. But then again, now Silver's Rayleigh, I'm just gonna have to see where his character is gonna go in the next volumes here, but he's got a reputation, he's got power.
And Shaki tells Luffy, Rayleigh is 100 times stronger than you are right now. Do you believe that?
I have to. I mean, how could he be the first mate of the greatest pirate king of all time and not be that power? I mean, 100 times, I guess that's reasonable. I mean, I guess if he was like 1,000 times stronger, that would be like ridiculous power scaling that could never possibly be tied together. So I think 100's a good place to put it, but
so if Luffy's about Lucci level at 4,000, so what's 4,000 times 100? He's
probably like 500,000.
No, you just add on the 2 zeros, so 4,000 with 2 extra zeros on there is well,
that'd be 400,000.
Yeah, 400,000. That's pretty good. That's pretty high.
I just like that. We get introduced to this is the way that's going to get you to Fishman Island, because obviously that's our ultimate goal, that we are going to get there. He's the man who could apply it. He's out here. He's been gone for months. gambling and picking up chicks. Also, he's like super ultra powerful, and
And
that's all
luckily,
awesome.
coincidentally, he just so happens to be at the auction hall where our friend Kami was taken to. So now we'll find a way to meet him, hopefully.
Yeah, that, and then also being educated on the fact that he's the first mate of Gold Roger. I'm like, oh fuck, the Gold Roger pirates, I never had a reason to dislike them. Obviously, they're the ones that really started the whole wave, the whole trend, the whole era. But if after however much time has passed, this is still what they're doing with their time, is gambling and picking up chicks. I mean, I'm like, hell yeah, shout out to all the straw hats that really have a lot of incredible dreams and so much passion behind their mission and all that stuff. But I mean, if you're just super strong and you've already kind of ran the gambit, shit, yeah, let me keep dropping them cards, them chips. And where's the waitresses? Because I got a couple tips. One of them's on the table, one of them's somewhere else. But either way, woo!
Well, speaking of strength, we see that Shaggy is also very powerful. And hey, we're supposed to be live streaming, folks, with Rusty Cage pretty soon, and he's begging us to do a sound check with him. So we're gonna have to wrap this up a little sooner than later. But we covered most of the big stuff. If we have to cover some of it next week, it's fine. But Shaggy is saying, hey, yeah, Luffy, your grandpa Garp used to chase me around 40 years ago. We see her beating up these big tough dudes in her bar, and she's like ripping them off for money and beating them up, so she's pretty villainous herself. And I like Luffy's reaction of 40 years ago? How old are you? Because she's looking, hey, pretty fine for being evidently in her 60s.
She's, you can tell she's probably a little older than somebody like Nico Robin. So what's Nico Robin's like? I would say, yeah.
Robin's younger than me, I think.
Oh, well.
Robin's like 27 or 28.
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, Shaka kind of looks like maybe late 40s at the absolute oldest. So, yeah, that's, also considering she's had some combat under her belt and also seems to be a smoker.
Aging pretty well somehow. I did want us to go through the auction list of how much everything's worth, but the main takeaway is a mermaid's worth about 70 million, and then homeboy Charlos immediately bids like half a billion, something crazy. And I like Nami's getting a lot of character arcs here. She's forgiving Hachi. She's willing to give all of their treasure and money away to save their friend Kami, who they just met that fucking day. So that's not the Nami we met originally, who hates pirates no matter what. Now she's saving pirates and giving all her money away. So good on Nami. You can't say she has no character growth. Any other final thoughts while Rusty is, very upset that we're not talking to him?
Well, I just want to give my top 3 first impressions as far as like out of the 11
the new pirates, yeah.
Pirates. I want to just name my top 3 that gave me the most, the biggest vibes. So I would say first off, out of the 11 Supernovas, I would say that Scratchman Apu, with his like piano key teeth, and he's kind of got like, he's somewhere between like, he's got like some nerdy kind of energy going on, but also like vicious Frankenstein kind of look at the same time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I hate Apu's design. I think he's so ugly and freakish, so I appreciate that you have a different perspective on him.
There's something about it. And speaking of something about it, next up I would say Murder Machine Killer is looking like Voldo from Soul Calibur. That's the energy I'm getting here with this sort of rounded spiral, perforated like metal helmet. Looking very, very freakish. Probably the scariest looking freak that I've seen in quite a while, if not the entire series for that matter.
And his name is just Killer, too. That's not even like the nickname.
Yeah. Honorable mention to Uroj because he's, or however, Uroge. It sounds like Eroge, but that's a good name to have. Shout out to all my fellow, enjoyers. Uroge, he has good personality that comes through for what amount that he is displayed in the volume. I think he seems like a guy who's, they call him Mad Monk. He's got some of that little bit of deranged energy, just a smidge, but kind of It's a vibe, as they say. But I think
What do you think of
probably
generic Italian gangster Capone Beige?
forgettable in the as
Yeah,
far as
too
who's audio, to be
generic.
honest.
What about
Yeah.
Glutton Bonnie, who does she have what's her power if she tackled Zoro as a little kid and then became an adult again? Hard to tell.
Might have had too much exposure to online sickos that I've had to combat over the years. But if a woman's superpower is turning into a child and turning back into an adult, I don't know.
It could be used
All I
to
know.
save Zoro's life because little girl
Yeah.
crying about her dead brother. What about magician Basil Hawkins?
Well, I think that we're overdue for a magician, so I'm happy if that is an accurate name to give him. I imagine it is, and I also like his very strange eyebrows.
Okay, folks,
It was
we will go more into the Supernova in the next volume. We should have scheduled this better. Sorry, I didn't. Yeah, Rusty likes to do shit way early. It is what it is, folks. But more about the Supernova
just
next
say-
time. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I make my last statement? But I have to say my numero uno out of the Supernova Pirates, just based on the nickname and a little bit of a backstory that is given to him in the auction hall. Trafalgar Law, the Surgeon of Death. I mean, that's giving me and he's got this very.
I got a frame picture of him right there on the wall.
Well, I guess that means he's gonna have something going on for himself. But he looks like a Surgeon of Death. He looks like he's got like this soulless serial killer look in his introductory panel there.
Is it spoilers if I tell you that? I mean, Straw Hat's not included. He's my favorite character. Well, spoilers anyway, because I said it. I mean, it's probably apparent because I have, very expensive light up wall art of him. And
How about
anything
we'll say
about
that-
Captain Kidd, though, the ruthless, the only guy with the higher bounty than Luffy. He attacks and pillages innocent people.
His energy in the auction hall is also very like self. He's got aura. He's got presence. Like he stands out in that room, like with how he's reacting to what's going on, and also for the fact that Killer, the murder machine, is also just one of his crew members. So if he's commanding somebody that looks like that, and he's got a higher bounty than Luffy, maybe just nothing as visually striking, perhaps, as some of the other 11 Supernovas. But I think it seems like he's probably going to be the worst to have to contend with if Luffy's going to have to do any combat with him, I think, as it stands.
Okay, folks, stay tuned for more Sabaody next week. Peace, people.